My name is Morgan. I'm a registered yoga teacher and an avid reader. In my classes, I like to infuse the themes from the books that I'm currently reading with a physical asana practice. Today's class pulls themes from Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. In this book, he shares stories of his upbringing, his search for a guru, and his encounters with many spiritual leaders across the globe. In his search to create a path between the industrialism of the West and the spirituality of the East, Paramahansa Yogananda's impact reaches far and wide, inspiring his followers to control the fluctuations of their minds, to believe in divine power, and to seek for truth within themselves. We'll begin today in embryo pose.
In your embryo pose, touch your toes together at the back of your mat, knees together in towards your chest, your arms by your sides or reaching down for your toes. Allow your forehead to rest gently on your mat. We'll begin our practice by noticing the physical body, how we feel in this current moment. Notice any areas of tension and allow those to be let go. Try to relax your entire body fully and completely into your mat. Next, we'll bring focus to our breath. First, noticing how the inhales and the exhales feel in our body, where expansion is felt as we inhale and where contraction is felt as we exhale. Then we'll begin to add some control over the breath, evening our inhales and our exhales. Perhaps adding in a slight constriction at the back of your throat, creating an Ujjayi pranayama. Let go of everything that happened before you arrived on your mat today, and of what will happen after your practice. Focus solely and completely on your breath. Slowly begin to walk your fingertips towards the top of your mat for child's pose. You have the option to leave your knees as they are or to inch them a little bit wider on your mat, ensuring to sink back deeply on your heels. Allow child's pose to be your safe place. If at any point during your practice today you feel that you're pushed too far, you're out of your comfort zone, or you've lost control of your breath, please come back here to your child's pose. Next, we'll transition into puppy pose. You may need to inch your knees a little bit further back onto your mat in order to bow your chest in closer towards the mat. Maybe your forehead, your chin, or your chest reaches the mat. I find that this pose doesn't only open the chest, but also opens the mind to the idea of surrender. As you hold puppy pose, allow yourself to bow deeper, to surrender further into the pose and in towards your mat. On an inhale, roll up into tabletop, your wrists under your shoulders, your knees under your hips, gazing down between your thumbs. Neutral spine. On an inhale, reach your right arm up to the sky for a twist. Opening the chest, stretching the shoulders. Plant your hand on an exhale. Do the same thing on the left side, lifting up and holding before planting the hand back on the mat. We'll repeat, lifting the right arm on an inhale and exhaling to plant it firmly on the mat. Inhale your left arm up to the sky, feeling that twist between your shoulder blades, and exhale to plant your hand back on the mat. Walk your hands forward, curl your toes under, and lift your hips for downward facing dog. Maybe you pedal out your feet. Keep your gaze at the back of the mat and focus on your breath. Big inhale through your nose, hold at the top, maybe sucking in a little bit more air before finding an exhale. Inhale your right leg to the sky and exhale to pull it through into a low lunge. Inhale the fingertips up to the sky and exhale, plant the hands and step into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, root to rise, extended mountain pose. Exhale your hands into heart center. Our quote for class today is, "He who vows to sacrifice all in the quest of the divine is fit to unravel the final mysteries of life through the science of meditation." Our class today will explore this quote. Inhale your arms back up overhead and exhale, find a fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands plant, set back into a low lunge. Left knee is forward. Plant your hands and step back into downward facing dog. Find a full cycle of breath in and out through your nose. Inhale your left leg to the sky and exhale to pull it forward into a low lunge, rising up on an inhale and finding a forward fold to the top of your mat on an exhale. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up tall. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, extended mountain. Exhale to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back, low lunge, right knee forward. Exhale, hands come to your mat, and you'll step back into downward facing dog. Finding an inhale through your nose and an exhale audibly out through your mouth. Inhale, lift your right leg to the sky. Exhale, pull it through, low lunge. Curl your back toe under, and on your inhale, rise up strong into Anjaneyasana, crescent lunge. We'll exalt our high lunge, placing the left hand on the left thigh and arching the back, lifting the chest. Come through center and find a twist to the right, reaching your fingertips in opposite directions. Come back through center and step to the top of your mat. Extended mountain. Exhale to fold. Inhale, find a halfway lift. And exhale, plant your fingertips on the mat and step back into a high lunge. Your right knee is forward, arms lifted above your head. Exhale to plant your hands and step back into downward facing dog. Inhale to lift your left leg. Exhale to pull it through. Low lunge, curling the toes and rising up into Anjaneyasana, high crescent lunge. Reach the right palm to the right thigh to exalt your warrior. Come back through center and twist, opening up towards the left side. Inhale, back into high lunge. And exhale, forward fold, top of your mat. Inhale, lift the arms for extended mountain, and exhale to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Set back into low lunge, left knee is bent. Rise up, and exhale, step back into downward facing dog. Focus on maintaining your breath. On an inhale, we'll roll forward into high plank, engaging the core, slight doming of the upper back. Exhale to pull the right knee to the right elbow, holding, hugging in, before stepping out for fallen triangle. The right foot comes over to the left side of your mat. Your left arm reaches up towards the sky. Plant your hand and step back into three-legged dog before finding flip dog. Feet are grounded parallel at the back of your mat. Hips lifted and the gaze following your right arm that's extended overhead. Come back through three-legged dog into downward facing dog. Roll forward into high plank. This time, our left knee comes to the left elbow, holding, hugging in, before stepping under to the right-hand side for fallen triangle. Keep your hips lifted as if they're arching off of the mat. Plant your right hand, come through three-legged dog before finding flip dog on the left side. Distribute your weight evenly through all three limbs and reach forward, opening your chest towards the sky. Come back through three-legged dog and step down for downward facing dog. Notice your breath. Inhale your right leg to the sky. Exhale, pull it through. Inhale to rise up, warrior one. Left toes pointed slightly outward, left leg straight, deep bend in the right knee. You can find a clasp behind your back, lifting through the chest, maybe finding a slight back bend, before folding forward into humble warrior. Engage your arms as if you're trying to pull your hands over your head and gaze towards your back foot. Inhale to rise up strong and exhale to come into warrior two. You may need to adjust your stance as if you're standing on a tightrope rather than on train tracks. Deep bend in the right knee, left leg is straight. Flip your right palm and reach back for reverse warrior. Maybe your left fingertips walk down the back of your left leg. Inhale to expand your right side body and exhale to windmill your hands back onto the mat. Step back into a high plank. For this first chaturanga, go ahead and lower the knees and then bend the elbows 90 degrees. Come through upward facing dog or cobra on an inhale and exhale, roll over the toes into downward facing dog. Inhale through your nose, exhale out through your mouth, letting something go. Inhale your left leg to the sky and exhale to pull it through into warrior one. Swiveling out the right toes, bending deep through the left knee. Find a clasp behind your back and prepare to humble your warrior, reaching back in a chest opener and folding forward. Inhale to find expansion and exhale to surrender, sinking a little deeper into this posture. Rise back up, inhaling the arms up overhead and adjusting your stance to come into warrior two. Deep bend in the left knee, right leg is straight and strong. Gazing over the front fingertips, then flipping the palm to come into reverse warrior. Gazing up at the fingertips, expanding through the left side body. Come from a place of opening and acceptance as you reach upward towards surrender. Windmill your hands to the mat and step back into high plank. Lowering down, Chaturanga Dandasana, heart opener, and meeting in downward facing dog. Staying here for a full cycle of breath. Begin to tiptoe the feet towards the top of the mat, finding a wide stance and a forward fold. Inhale to find a halfway lift, and exhale to fold, coming into ragdoll. Have a deep bend in the knees, and find whichever arm placement gives you joy right now. Maybe reaching for either elbow, placing the hands in the back, clasping the hands as we did in Humble Warrior, or simply reaching the hands towards the mat. In whatever variation you choose, allow your whole body to surrender. Maybe you bring movement into this posture or remain in stillness. Allow your body to take over, doing what it needs. And in the process, noticing what it feels like to not be in control, to surrender completely. How does that make you feel? Begin to release your fingertips towards the mat to come into a forward fold. Halfway lift to a flat back and fold one more time before walking the toes back into a high plank. Hold, letting go of any thoughts that tell you that you can't. Staying here, surrendering to the pose. Lift the hips and release for downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg to the sky and exhale to pull it through and rise up into warrior two. Find strength in the legs, gripping the feet, find engagement in the calves, the hamstrings, the quads, the glutes. In order to sink a little bit deeper, to surrender into the pose, and to find your full expansion. Straighten your front leg and bump your hips back, reaching the right arm and the chest forward to come into triangle pose. Try pulling your shoulder blades back in space to open your chest and open your arms wider. Maybe sink down a little bit deeper, reaching your fingertips even closer to the mat. And your left fingertips further to the sky. Rise back up on an inhale into warrior two. Can you sink a little bit deeper? Extended side angle. Right forearm meets the right inner thigh, keeping a deep bend in the right knee and opening the chest, reaching the left arm to the sky. As always, you have the option to include a block, bring the mat a little closer to you, and facilitate greater expansion. Go ahead and remove the block if you have one. And we'll plant the palms, stepping the left foot to meet the right, heels in, toes out, Malasana squat. Hands at Anjali Mudra, heart center. You may benefit from placing a block under your seat as I demonstrate and explain how to do crow pose and arm balance. You'll bring your toes to the back of your mat, heels together, knees wide. Placing your knees on your upper arm bones and planting your hands firmly into the mat. From there, shift your weight forward, maybe lifting one foot off the mat at a time. It's helpful to keep your gaze forward and your toes pointed. If you struggle with letting go in this posture, it may be helpful to place a block under your forehead. From there, you can again lift your feet off of the mat and maybe play with lifting your forehead barely off the block. You have a few moments to play. You're welcome to stay in a Malasana squat or to join me in a forward fold at the top of the mat, where we'll meet when everyone is finished. Make your way to a forward fold at the top of your mat. Plant your hands and step back into downward facing dog. We'll take the same sequence on the left side. I've switched sides just so that you can see better, but you can stay facing the front of your mat. Inhale your left leg to the sky and exhale to pull it through into warrior two. You've been here before, but can you make a change in your stance and how your feet are grounded to the mat and the way your muscles are engaged in order to come into your fullest expression of this posture, to find full surrender? Straighten out your left knee, bump your hips back, and reach forward to come into triangle pose. Can you sink a little deeper into your left fingertips while reaching a little higher through your right fingertips. Opening your chest up further towards the right side. Inhale to rise back up into Warrior Two. Inhale to expand and exhale to deepen your stretch. Extended side angle. Left elbow meets the left inner thigh. Gaze follows the right fingertips towards the sky as we lengthen through the chest. Pull the shoulder blades back in space to create more space for opening. As always, you have the option to use a block. Place the fingertips on the mat and step forward into Malasana squat. You can stay here in Malasana, practice crow, or we'll take Ekapada Kunyasana, which begins in high plank. From high plank, you'll pull one knee into the same elbow, placing it on top of the arm, just as you do in crow. From there, you can play with lifting the legs off of the mat. Maybe your legs both don't lift, but play around with the shifting of balance as you lift one leg or maybe both off the mat. You have a few moments to play, or you can join me in Malasana, where we'll all meet once we're finished with arm balances. Let's all join in Malasana squat, removing the block and then lying face down on our mats. Arms in an I surrender position. Head can be face down or off to one side, fully and completely melting into your mat. You've put in a lot of work. Allow yourself to release. Bend the left arm and use it to prop yourself up and roll over, opening up towards the left side. Maybe your left leg comes behind your right leg. Feel the stretch between your shoulder blades and in your right pectoralis. You can play around with your arm positioning and with movement in your leg, if that calls to you, or you can remain in stillness. Begin to roll your body back in towards center. And bring your left knee into a 90-degree angle. Maybe gazing towards the right this time in this restorative posture. Push the chest up off the mat, giving yourself just enough space to slip your left arm under your body. Come into a nice twist. Straighten your left leg and then open up for a spinal twist. Bending your right knee and opening your left arm to the left, gaze following. Roll back through center, placing the arms again in I surrender. Bend your right elbow and press through your right palm, opening your body towards the right. Your right leg coming up and over your left, opening the chest and stretching the back muscles. Again, you have the option to find some playful movement or to remain in stillness. Surrender to what your body is telling you right now. Come through center and bend your right knee into a half frog pose. lifting up, and maybe finding a twist, lying the right arm underneath the body, feeling that deep stretch in the right shoulder blade. Return your legs to center and find a supine twist. Left leg is bent, left arm reaching towards the left. Allow any tension in the low back to dissipate. Roll back into a prone position, arms and eyes surrender one last time. Before pushing the body up through tabletop, inching the knees in, and pulling the right foot to the outside of the right hand, scooching the left knee a little bit back, coming into your lizard lunge. Maybe flossing a few times into this right hip flexor, feeling as you open and release. Maybe using a block to bring the mat a little closer to you, to lean into this lizard lunge, surrendering into the posture. This pose can bring a lot of discomfort. Try to breathe into any areas of discomfort that you may have and allow yourself to let it go. If your forearms are on blocks or on the mat, slowly begin to lift right back up and remove your block. We'll straighten the right leg and come into half split, Hanumanasana. Your toes can be curled under or foot flat on the mat. Keep your back straight to protect your low back and reach forward towards your curled front toe. Begin to roll the sole of the right foot forward and then inch the foot over to the left, the right knee coming in close to your right hand for pigeon. Sit up tall before folding completely forward onto your mat. Maybe resting your forehead on a block if that is comfortable for you. Or releasing completely into your mat. Allow your chest to grow heavy and release your full body as much as you can into the mat. In this pose, we can surrender to the knowledge that we are not in control, but that everything is as it is meant to be. Slowly awaken out of your slumber and walk your fingertips in towards your shin. Come back through tabletop, and we'll take some wrist stretches. Rocking forward and backwards, one palm facing forward and then switching for the next. Gentle stretches. Find lizard lunge on the left side, placing the left foot next to the left palm and inching the right knee back in space. Maybe bringing a block into your practice to rest on your forearms, bringing the mat a little bit closer to you. The hips are known to hold a great deal of emotion. As you open the hips, notice what emotions you're feeling and allow yourself to let them go. Remove your block if you have one and rise up, coming backwards into Hanumanasana, half split. Maybe you choose to find movement here or to remain in stillness. Maintain focus over the breath using it to guide you through the stretch. Inhaling to create length and expansion, and exhaling to surrender more and deeper into your stretch. From half split, make your way into pigeon on the left side. Your left foot will be towards the right side of your mat, your left knee next to your left hand. Make sure that your back leg is fully straight and in line before you fold forward onto your mat or a block. If any part of you is actively holding yourself up, allow yourself to release and let it go, using only the mat or a block to support you, surrendering completely in this posture. It takes a lot of strength and practice to surrender. Notice what feelings and emotions come up with letting go of your control and knowing that you never really had any. Reawaken your sleeping pigeon, walking your fingertips in towards your left shin. Step your left knee back in a tabletop. We'll begin to make any adjustments that you need for frog pose. I appreciate having a block underneath my chest or my forehead and rolling the edges of my mat in either once or twice to create a little bit of cushion for my knees. In tabletop facing the long edge of your mat, begin to inch your knees out a little wider, keeping your knees at a 90-degree angle and your toes facing outward to come into frog. The option to lower down either onto your forearms or fully, maybe using a block to meet you halfway. Just like in pigeon, if there's anything that's holding you up, allow yourself to let it go. Relax completely. Lahiri Mahasaya says that truth is for earnest seekers, not for those of idle curiosity. Truth exists, and it resides within each and every one of us. Skeptics often need to see something to believe it, but the truth can only be discovered by having faith and believing in it without having to see any proof. There's a reason that they call it discover. It means to discover. The truth already exists. It's already within us. It just needs to be uncovered. Modern discovery was once considered a miracle, but now we consider it truth. You have the power to discover truth by choosing belief and surrender rather than skepticism. Begin to rise up from your forearms onto your palms, inching your knees in towards tabletop, unfolding your mat, removing your block if you used one. We'll meet in a seat facing forward. Extend your right leg out in front of you. The left sole of your foot meets the inside of your right thigh for Janu Sirsasana. Inhale your arms up overhead and exhale to fold forward over your right knee, keeping a straight back and curling the toes in towards the nose. Maybe you need to find a slight bend in your right knee and allow it to relax and soften as your stretch deepens. On an inhale, rise back up and we'll switch legs. Left leg extends out long. Right sole of the foot meets the left inner thigh. We reach up on an inhale and fold forward on an exhale. Lengthening on our inhales and then folding deeper into our stretch on our exhales. Can you sink a little bit deeper into this stretch? Just surrender a little more into your fold. Inhale as we rise back up and extend both legs out long, or reach the arms up to the sky and fold forward a seated forward fold. Just as we did with Janusirsasana, create length on your inhales and deepen your stretch on your exhales, bowing further in towards your knees and deepening the stretch in your hamstrings and your glutes. Rise back up on an inhale. Plant your hands behind your shoulders for a reverse tabletop. If pointing the toes is too intense, you have the option to bring the feet underneath the knees. If it feels available to you, release the head and the neck, surrendering as you open your chest to the sky. Release back down onto the mat. Tuck your palms under to prepare for fish pose, lowering yourself onto the forearms, engaging the thighs, pointing the toes, lifting the chest to the sky, and again, maybe releasing and dropping the head and the neck back towards the mat. Feeling the opening in your throat and in your chest as you let everything go, let everything pour out of you. Breathe. It's the one thing that stays consistent throughout all of our practice, even as we near the end. Lift back up, exiting fish pose. We'll come fully onto our back, lifting the legs up to the sky in a 90-degree angle for waterfall. Keep the core engaged, flattening the low back against the mat. And pull your heels towards the sky. Ground through your shoulder blades. Allow yourself to release, feeling the effects of this pose washing over you. You are welcome to stay here for as long as you'd like, or you have the option of transitioning into plow pose. For plow, we'll lift the hips over the shoulders, ground through the upper arms, and place the palms on the lower back for support. Your weight should be bared in your shoulders, not in your head or your neck. Your feet will fall back behind your head, maybe even reaching the mat or the floor behind you. This pose is an excellent counter to the twists and the chest openers that we've done throughout the rest of class. Feel the effects of this coiling in, growing smaller into a tight little ball, in opposed to all of the opening poses that we've done. When you're ready, slowly release your torso back down onto the mat, lowering the legs all the way onto the floor. As we prepare to enter our final resting posture, hug your knees in towards your chest. Take any movement right now that feels right to you, getting out any last wiggles, any last points of tension before we lay to rest. Maybe some hip circles, flexing and pointing your toes, rocking from side to side or up and back. Curl into a tight little ball, pulling your nose in to meet your knees. Give yourself one last hug, coiling in before releasing fully and completely onto your mat in surrender. Place your palms face up for acceptance and take up space on your mat. Now is the time to surrender any control that you have over your breath and allow a natural rhythm to take place. For our meditation today, I'll be guiding you through a body scan. We'll begin by bringing awareness to the big toes, sending them a little tingle of energy before allowing them to relax. Next, we'll notice the energy that resides in the rest of the toes, and giving them permission to relax. We'll move on to the tops of the feet, noticing the energy that innervates them, and then letting them relax. Now to the soles of the feet, feeling that prickle of energy, and letting them relax. We'll move on to the heel of the foot, noticing where it's placed on the mat, and then letting it melt into the mat. Next, we bring our attention to the ankle, feeling the buzz of energy and letting go. We'll move on to the calf, feeling the energy that innervates it, and then letting it melt in towards your mat. We move up to your shins, feeling that prickle of energy and letting it go. Next to the knees, feeling and letting go. To our thighs, the tops of our legs, noticing the energy that resides within them and allowing each muscle fiber to release. Move down to our hamstrings at the back of our legs. Again, noticing the energy that's firing in our muscles and releasing them onto the mat. Move up to our hips. Hold so much tension. We notice if there is a tense energy and allow ourselves to let it go. We move to the stomach, feeling the digestive energies that are moving within it, and allow them to dissipate. Moving to the upper abdomen, we notice the energy that we feel from within and allow it to release. We move up to the chest, where we spent so much time opening. If there's any energy left within your chest, surrender it. We move next to the tips of the fingers, feeling the buzz of energy, allowing it to release. Next to the top of the hands, feeling as they press into the mat and allowing them to release. We move on to the palms of the hands, feeling the soft prickle of energy that spreads across them and allowing that energy to dissolve. We move to the forearms, noticing the parts of the forearms that are touching the mat and the parts that are off the mat, allowing all of it to relax into your mat. Next, we locate the elbows. We find the energy that resides within them and let go. Moving to the upper arms, we notice the energy that resides in these muscles in our biceps and our triceps, and we release. Moving on to our shoulders, noticing if we carry any tension and allowing shoulders sink away from the ears and release into the mat. Next, we reach the throat, noticing any energy that resides left over from our Ujjayi breath, and allow it to dissolve. We bring our attention to the neck, noticing and releasing. We bring our attention to the chin. Feel the buzz of energy and allow it to release. Focus on your jaw. Notice any tension that resides and let it go. Notice if the lips are held together tightly and allow them to release. Bring your focus to the muscles around your eyes. If you're holding tension there, let it go. We'll move next to the forehead, where our third eye of wisdom resides, and unfogging this and allowing it to open. Lastly, we move to the crown of the head. This is where divinity enters our body. Allow yourself to surrender to the power of the divine. If any areas of your body remain tense or have energy, allow yourself to let go completely and fully, allowing nothing to hold you up except for your mat. Begin to bring movement back into your body, deepening your breath, maybe wiggling your fingers and your toes, rocking your head from side to side, or finding a big good morning stretch. When you're ready, we'll meet in a seat at the top of your mat.
If you have read or are planning to read Autobiography by Yogi, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for joining me with your practice today. I bow to you as you bow to me, and together we say, Namaste.